Okay, I just do. Okay. All right, well, it is 7:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And we'll probably have more people joining us here as we go along. So hopefully, hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Let me see, I'm going to check real quick and see if I've got anybody else trying to get in. Okay, I think we're good. All right, well, tonight I wanted to do a couple things. Number one, we're going to talk some about our group assignment because I have been getting some questions from people. So, you know, I will do my best to share the screen with you and kind of walk you through what needs to be done. Then we're going to talk about the different kinds of data, both qualitative and quantitative data. And then I do want to spend some time as well having you guys share some stories about how your campus uses data and things like that. So I got some really good feedback in the essays, and you guys have some really awesome things that I think other people would like to hear and benefit from. So without further ado, what questions or burning issues do you have on your minds right now before we start talking about the group assignment? Okay, well, you guys can make it really easy. That's wonderful, thank you. Now let's see if I can figure it. I'm having a terrible time with my computer tonight, as I know Stacy was with me just a little while ago on the other Zoom meeting. She will attest to. I can't even get this to, okay, just there.
I do have a question about with this one too while you're doing that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
In each one of those tools, it lists several questions on the left. Do we need to answer every single one of those questions, or are those just to guide you?
Those are just to guide you. Yeah. Okay. You have plenty to do in the assignment. So don't worry about that. Okay, let's see if Zoom will let me share. Like I said, it's giving me grief tonight on every possible level. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's start by talking about the assignment. Can y'all see my screen? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So what you're going to do with your group, or we've had a few people who've opted to work individually. So what I'm going to do is, you know, today, I think I gave you guys maybe till like the 3rd or 4th to decide. But as soon as I hear back from everybody that wants to do this individually, then I will redo the groups and send them back out to you. Quite honestly, I've had very few people who've opted to do this by themselves. So I think for the most part, the groups will stay the same. But I will get that back out to everybody soon. Somebody also wanted to know, how do you get in touch with your group members? If you want to, you can email me and just tell me who your group members are, and I'll be happy to send you back an email with their email addresses. And I usually put them, I copy them on my response to you as well, so that way you guys can start dialoguing and talking. And then people choose to do this either virtually. You know, I know some groups have actually been able to physically meet. But most everybody does it through, you know, Skype or Google Chat or something along those lines. But for the particular assignment, so what you're going to do first is you've got this article, quantitative and qualitative data, that you're going to read. It is just to read, and it's a pretty long article, so you know, that's going to take you a little bit of time. Then I have posted 2 different sets of data for the assignment. One data set is for an urban elementary school in Texas. The second data set is for an urban middle school here in Louisiana. Each group or each person will choose one of those data sets for the project. Please don't think you have to do both. Just choose one, okay? Then you're going to use the templates that are actually posted in the zip file to complete the resources, and they're, for those of you that have been in the Zoom meetings or watching the recordings previously, these are the ones from Dallas ISD, and Joseph Harrington was awesome and shared with everybody the links to those. But if you need them, just, you know, like I said, text me or something along that line, and I'll be happy to also post those for you, okay? Hang on, I'm trying to move my chat over here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So you're going to just complete each one of these tools. So you have tool 1A, how to frame the question, all through down through tool 7B. These are one-page documents, and you're going to just answer the questions that are posed in the document based on that data set. Then you're going to look at, and I've given you an example it's actually from Clark County Schools, their data plan and analysis guide that they actually use with their schools. Now it is completed, so you don't have to read it in depth, but it is a really good model to look at and to see how this particular document is going to be used. And after you do that, you're going to use these tools, and you're going to choose the best ideas from those previous tools that you're going to actually use to fill out your own data plan and analysis. Now, I don't want you, because like, for example, in the Clark County one, there are some sections they list like 25 ideas or 25 things they're doing. You don't have to do that. Just condense it down into a single response in each one of the areas so that you can complete it. The idea behind it is I want you to get used to looking at data sets. I want you to also be dialoguing and talking with your fellow classmates about data. And then I want you to think about and brainstorm ideas that respond to these questions and try to come up with the best response that you can. It's not about quantity in this instance, it's really about quality. Then once you've completed all of that, you're going to create a PowerPoint with 10, but no more than 16 slides that answer the 10 questions that I've listed for you here. Now, somebody in the other Zoom meeting tonight in my other class wanted to know, do they have to do notes and all of that? No. All I'm interested in is the slides, and it can be as simple as you copy and paste question 1 and answer it. Then you go to slide 2, you copy and paste and answer it. Then once it's all done, here are the things that you're going to submit for a grade. So you have the data planning and analysis tools, 1A, 2A, 3A, all the way through 7B. The data planning and analysis template, and then your PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so you have 3 things that you're going to end up submitting back to me. Okay. All right, let's look at the templates, if I can get that to come up. And then we'll look at some of the data sets. Hang on, guys, sorry. My computer is not cooperating again. Oh, I'm being too fast. Let me stop sharing that screen so I can get you on the right one. Hang on. Okay, so we've looked at some of these tools before, and I'll share this with you in just a minute. It'll let me. Hold on. Okay, y'all just have to bear with me and tell me if you can actually see what I'm trying to show you. Okay, can y'all see the tool 1A now? Okay, so very simply, you're going to look at the data set and you're going to start with this tool and you're just going to answer these questions. So what do we want to know? What are we attempting to measure and monitor? And it's just bullet points. Don't write a paragraph. Please don't give me a dissertation. All you can do is go through and respond to each individual bullet point. Okay? And they've given you examples. And if you remember, we talked about last time, it goes from general to much more specific. Okay? So you're going to do that for each one of the 7 tools. Now there's actually, in 6, there's 3 tools, and in 7, there's 2 tools. So 1 through 5, 6A, B, and C, and then 7A and 7B. Okay? All right, let me see if I can stop sharing that one. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Let's see if it'll let me go back. Hang on. No, it's not going to let me go back. Okay. Let me go back to me here. Hold on. So let's look at the data analysis. Hang on. Opening a nice big file. There it goes. Okay, let me share it with you guys again. Well, hang on, it's still opening. Sorry, it's still opening. It's being really slow tonight.
Dr. Johnson, do you mind if I ask a question?
No, go right ahead.
I was looking. This is Noelle. I was looking at the zip file, and I think it was Form 1A, if I'm not mistaken. And most of them were in a Word document, but one was in a PDF. Aren't we supposed to be typing in answering the questions on the right-hand side in the Word document?
Yes, yeah. Some people, like if you have a MacBook or something like that, or you're using, I just totally forgot what they call it, but whatever. If you're using that, that's why I also always try to post the PDF, because sometimes you can't read them if you're in an Apple form.
I wasn't able to type in that form, and I was trying to figure out what was wrong with that, but I'm sure it's operator error.
Oh, yeah, you never know. It may not be. If you still have issues or whatever, just email me and I'll email it directly back in a Word format.
Okay, thank you.
I think Dr. Johnson, we don't have the Word file of it. We have the PDF.
Not the you just have PDF. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
That one form.
Okay, I'll put it in tonight as soon as we're done.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so are you guys seeing the data analysis template? Okay. Yes. So this is from the Clark County School District. They're a very high-performing school district. So this is their example of what they use. And a lot of reading here that kind of explains it, goes through. The dog is yelling at me. So sorry, I'm sure this is driving you as crazy as it is me. I'm just scrolling here. Let me do page down here so that would be better. But that's not working. Okay, hang on. Okay, now it's frozen. Oh, there it goes. All right, so this is part of, okay, there we go. This is part of the template that you will do. So you can see what it looks like, but then you will also, I've gone completely to the end. Sorry about that. You will see how they have filled this out, as well as sort of guiding questions. Now, you don't have to answer all these questions, but they are pretty nice in terms of helping to figure out what it is you need to do. So how do you go about completing it? Well, first of all, you're going to review the current performance. Then you're going to look at trends. Then you're going to actually start prioritizing. What are your concerns or challenges? Then you're going to take that information and you're going to begin to complete the document. Okay, so what have been our trends? What are our most significant weaknesses, etc.? So that is a tool that will help you to synthesize all of the information. Okay, then your performance data sources, so what assessments were used, what was the content, etc. Okay, then you've got a legend that explains all of this. Then we start getting into their actual planning. So starting here, for example, they review their performance achievement by grade level for 3+ years. What are their measures? Well, the academic achievement on the CRT, which is the Carolina Readiness Test, I believe. What are the metrics? What are the questions? And what are those reports that they're going to have to use? Now, they have done a really comprehensive job at this particular campus. I don't want you to do all of that. Literally give me one measure, one metric, one question, and one data or view or report. They've given me multiple ones, okay? I'm not, like I said, I don't expect you to do a 50-page paper. Just one from the data sets that you're going to be reviewing, okay? But there are some nice samples here if you don't understand or, you're still a little unclear about what exactly it's asking for. I always think models are really helpful. So this is the model of what you're going to be doing, and it looks a little funky. I think it's just the way my computer opened it up tonight. But again, when you get into this, developing your trend statements, they've done multiple ones. All I'm asking for is one from you guys, okay? Then you've got some blank templates and more templates, questions, terminology, and other things that hopefully will be helpful to you, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing this one, and let me see if I can get back over. Hang on. Put you guys down a little bit to the next document. Not that one. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to show you one of the data sets. Oh, I see what you're saying, Jennifer. I just noticed you're right. We do have the PDF up there for you and not what you need.
I have another question before you move on.
Sure.
Of those templates, can you specify exactly which ones you want us to complete? Which page numbers maybe?
Well, yeah, hang on. Let me see if I can share this view with you guys again, and this might make it just a whole lot easier.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, hang on. Come on, computer. Okay, here we go. All right, so what you're going to actually be doing is you're going to complete, and the templates you're going to use are tools 1A down here through 7A, and 7B is up here at the top. Okay, so those you're going to do. Then I think I'm going to have to switch screens again to get to the other. Move that one down. Okay, sorry guys, it just drives me crazy. I hate Moodle. Opening in 15 seconds. No, we're not. Hang on, let me see if I can get this other stuff to open in the meantime. Sorry, it was just being very slow. Okay, so in terms of the templates that you're going to be doing, this is all data pieces. So this is for the Louisiana Middle School. So like I said, there's tons of information in here that you're going to go in and look at. You don't have to complete or fill any of this out, okay? So let me close that one out, and let me see if I can get this to open again. Ugh. Sorry, it's just being very slow. Okay, here we go. Let me share again. Okay, can y'all see this? Okay, so as I said, you're going to do the tools, and I'm looking to see. Let me see if it'll open. Hang on. Okay. Okay, can y'all see the template now, or do I need to reshare? Let me do a new share. I think that's my problem. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I've gone through the tools, and this is the actual template that you're going to complete right here. Okay, and it is called Group Project Data Plan and Analysis Template, and it's found in the file that the tools and stuff that I just showed you. It's found in that folder. Okay, did that answer your question? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. All right, other questions about the group assignment?
Dr. Johnson, Ty Melton, I've got one.
Hey, sure.
Hey, I was about 5 minutes late. I got kicked out and had to get back in, so you were already talking when I got to going, so you may have already answered it. But looking through all that data, in my mind, before I opened it up, I was expecting to see what some English, like I'm gonna pick the Louisiana one. So I was expecting to see what we were scoring in English and in science and specific scores, but all I noticed was like my school, the school score, the district scores, and the state scores. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct. Do you want me to kind of walk you through one of the data sets so you know what you've got?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think it'd probably be helpful for all of us. Okay,
absolutely. Now just bear with me because you know how much I love to doing this share screen thing because it works so well for me all the time. Hold on.
But am I correct in saying inside of that data, there's no such thing as like individual, what the student scored in the math and individually for? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. And part of that's by design because number one, I don't have access to a lot of that anymore like I used to. So hold on, let me see if it's going to let me even do this. Okay, let's start with, let's go to the report card. Okay, hold on, I'll share it as soon as it opens. Give me just a second. Okay. Okay, so in the data set, can y'all see that where it says middle school, it got a D? Okay, so what you're going to be doing here is because we didn't drill down to specific student data, one of the things that when you're in campus leadership, you know, if you're a Title I school, which this particular one is, you're required to do an annual parent meeting as well as community meeting that communicates how your school is performing. So, you know, what I want you to be thinking about when you're filling out that data analysis guide is, what is the community perception based on the information that they have here? So, for example, in this particular middle school, you have 450 students, 14% special education, 90% economically disadvantaged, okay? So it's not a very large school. It is grades 6 through 8, but they do have a disproportionately high number of special education students. So that's one thing right there that I would notice and note from the data. They also have much higher economically disadvantaged percentage than the average school in the state of Louisiana. So while we're not drilling down, tie into those real specifics, you know, that where you can see how many students did such and such in math, what I'm wanting you to begin to think about, and the way that you're going to answer those questions, is comparative data to other states, schools, like entities. So in this case, how did they do on state assessments? Well, 9% of the schools, students mastered. Compare that to 24%. So I immediately know right there, there's a 15% difference between the school and the state. That's significant. So that's something I'd want to bring out when I complete my template. Even more significant is the fact that 27% of the state mastered, but only 9% of the school did. So we have an even higher deficit there. Moving on, the same thing's true even for students scoring at the basic level. So what is it telling me? Well, this school is significantly below state average. It's significantly below district average. And not even 50% of the students are scoring at the basic level, and only 9% are scoring at the mastery or college or career ready level. So while it's not terribly specific data, the kind that you might want to deal with in a PLC, it is certainly something that if I were the leader of this campus, I'm going to have to really do some thinking about and explanations to my community and my parents, as well as probably my supervisor, about what is going on and why we're scoring so significantly below. The other thing that, you know, in an ideal world, as a principal, I'd be looking at this same report card or kind of data across 3 or 4 years. So hopefully I could say, look, we started at 1% mastery and now we're up to 9%. But that's how you're going to handle that. Then how do our different students groups perform? Again, we've got the same issue. So you're looking for, is this trend data for the whole school, or is it just for particular groups of students? So in this case, your minority students, mastery level is 9%, district is 20%. We're below the district, again, significantly. We're also below the state. But look, my district actually exceeded the state, so that is one good thing. Now, on the positive side of the data, and again, you know, that's a relative term because when you've only got 9% or 13% at mastery, you still got a lot of problems. But we are beating the other district schools and state schools in terms of how well our students are performing with disabilities, okay? Then when you come down here, credits, that's another piece to look at. Now you'll notice that we do drill down a little bit more for our ELA and math scores. And we see that we had 171 students who were non-proficient, 146 non-proficient in math. Only 58% were exceeding expectations. 63% were exceeding expectations in math. This is your growth data right here. The good news is that we did outperform the district in both ELA and math. And at the state level, we also outperformed them. So what does that tell us? Well, while overall we fall below the district and the state on almost every measure, when it comes to growth data and information, we are actually beating them. So we earned 10 points here, and notice that we got an improved score. The other part of it as well is that when you are not doing well with what's the word I'm looking for, absolute performance, but you are showing growth index performance. You know, an argument that could be made as the principal would be that, look, our students are coming in far below grade level, but they've got all these things that make, you know, learning more challenging for them. We have a very high special education population. We have lots of students coming from low socioeconomics. But when they stay with us, we are able to grow them with some level of significance. And so therefore we are improving and we're moving in the right direction. So that's how I would handle all that. And that's the information that I'd be looking to use, that when I fill out that template and it's asking me questions like, the first one, you know, frame the question. What are we going to be talking about in planning? Well, I'm going to be talking a lot about that, yeah, we're below state and district, but look, we've got good growth happening. It's just we don't have enough time within a single school year to move students who are 2 or 3 years below grade level up to standard, which is grade level. But we are showing more progress than others. Okay, does that kind of help? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to look at one more data piece just to see how to handle it a little bit differently? Are you good?
Yes, please.
Okay. Bear with me again, guys, just because it takes me a second to get back to the right one. Okay, so let's look at a student data set. How about that? That's a little bit different. And then as soon as it opens up, I'll share with you guys again. Here we go. Okay, let's see, share screen. Okay. Okay, so you should be looking at what's called, this is actually from the federal government. And this is a Louisiana state snapshot. So I tried to give you a state snapshot, a district or parish snapshot, as well as an individual school snapshot. Because when you're in a leadership position, and you know, I know I've had to do this, it feels like 1,000 times, in front of the school board, you know, you have to go in and make sense of data for people. So in the state of Louisiana, there are 138 charter schools, and there are 394 schools total in the state of Louisiana. So on a percentage basis, about 10% of the schools are charter. Why is that significant? Well, in some states, charter schools are exempt from some of the rules and regulations that regular schools are. They might be able to choose their students. They might be able to only take students with a certain achievement level, etc. So it is significant. 10% of students attending charter schools is pretty high compared to the nation. Okay. So in terms of how it breaks down, you'll notice that Louisiana is compared to the nation. So in terms of the American Indian students, they're only 0.7% in Louisiana, 1% in the United States. Conversely, in Louisiana, you have 44.2% Black students, and in the United States, it's 15.3%. So while we have fewer American Indians in Louisiana than the rest of the country, we have a significantly larger population of Black students in Louisiana than we do the rest of the country. Hispanic, it kind of reverses the trend again. In Louisiana, we only have 5.9%, whereas in the US, we have 26.4%. So significantly fewer Hispanic students. Hawaiian or Pacific Island, that's such a small percentage, we can move on from that one. It's not going to be statistically significant. But our white students, the Louisiana, we have 45.5%, US 48.5%. So, pretty close there, not anything that's too statistically, I can't say that all of a sudden, significant. Another thing that a lot of people argue about is whether or not funding for schools makes a difference in terms of student achievement. Louisiana has, on average, a much lower per pupil allotment that they spend on education than, say, Massachusetts. Massachusetts tends to have the highest. So, total federal funding for the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and programs in Louisiana, we've received $616 million. Total funding in the United States is $35 billion. So again, what I would do is, if I were going to use some of these data points in my template, I do compare. Again, it goes back to the idea of comparative data. So you might want to take the, the difference between populations between Louisiana and the U.S., and that's just simple subtraction. Here, I want to know what percentage of funding Louisiana is getting out of this big total amount being spent in the U.S. So you would simply divide and figure out what percentage Louisiana is getting. And based on our population and needs, you might want to talk about that we get a disparately different amount than maybe another state or on a percentage basis. We may not, I don't know, it may not be disparate, different. Then when you come down here and you talk about student proficiency, and you can actually, guys, these are all web-based, so you do have the actual website. So if you want to drill down, you could actually go in. These are all hot links. But for the sake of just, I didn't want to give you guys like reams and reams of stuff. But if you want to dig a little deeper, just use the website at the top. And like I said, everywhere that you see that's underlined is actually a hot link that you can drill down into more in-depth data. So when we talk about proficiency on our 8th grade math, in Louisiana, 59.9% of our students were proficient. I would certainly be concerned about that. That's, just slightly over half of our students. Now, conversely, when you talk about in reading, we are faring better at 77.2%. I might want to go in and look at, because you can do this as you see right across the top here for any state. I would want to see how the states that spend more money on their children are doing, such as in Massachusetts, and see what their percentages look like. And that might become a really interesting comparison point. Same thing here when we talk about, let's see, what am I trying to see here? Right here. The cohort for graduation rates. Again, nice comparative. Louisiana is sitting at 78.6% versus 84.1% in the country. And that's from 15-16. And then you could also compare from 2014-15 to 15-16. Hang on. Louisiana saw a slight increase year to year in graduation rates, not quite, 1.1%, I guess. And then in the U.S., we saw a 0.9 increase. So while the number of graduates in the U.S. is increasing, it is also increasing in Louisiana. Then you can compare horizontally between the U.S. and Louisiana, and we see that the U.S. has a higher graduation rate than Louisiana. So that's what you're doing with this kind of stuff. I'm not expecting you to get into deep analysis by student objective and all of that in this exercise. I just want you to get comfortable with comparative data, looking across, like I said, state, district, nation, year to year, group to group, and see what kind of conclusions you can draw from this sort of information. But this particular document is just a good, nice overview to get a feel for where the state of Louisiana is. And then you can drill down even more specifically in some of the other documents. But, like I said, I can't emphasize enough, guys, I'm not expecting you to do deep dive analysis. We just don't have enough information in most cases to do that. When you're looking at a course level data exercise, but we should always be looking, and this is, and part of the reason I want you to look at it from this frame of reference too is parents and the public and the community, which, guys, let's be real, we do have to be accountable, and we have to be able to talk and understand data. They don't understand when we do deep data digs into student level objective data, incorrect response analysis, that sort of thing. But people do understand if you can sit there and tell them, we talked about data storytelling, in one of the essays just the other day. But, parents and people do understand when you say, you know what, guess what? Louisiana, our graduation rate is slightly less than that of the general U.S. population. But the good news is it's growing from year to year by this much. So that's what I want you to take away from this, are sort of those talking points that when you are, people are talking about how great or wonderful or how terrible your school is, you've got some real comparative data. In fact, every school that I was ever principal at, we created a one-page data sheet where we listed our school, we listed the district, and we listed the state, and we looked at these big major factors, much like this one. And then we did the math for everybody, and we showed pluses and minuses. So, anywhere that we were above the state, we got a plus, and, we were +4. If we were below the nation, it was -1. And we did color coding and all of that. So anywhere we were ahead, we gave ourselves a green, et cetera. And we made them into big, huge posters, put them all around the school, and a copy was posted on our website. Plus, we sent it home to every single parent in the building. Because, parents do want to know, and I'd rather we get to tell our story than the media. For those of you that have worked in big urban districts, I know in Dallas, they just love to put our data out there, and I'd much rather be the one telling our story because we can show a very positive piece to data as well. But unfortunately, since everybody's gone to these letter grading systems, people in the public tend to think, oh gosh, that school's an A school, it must be great. But they're not looking at the fact that compared to this school that we were just talking about, they have 1% low socioeconomic as opposed to 90%. And we know that those are huge factors that make a difference in how challenging it is to educate some children in some schools. So that's it. It's really all about just doing comparisons between groups, both horizontally and vertically. Did that help?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm serious. I don't mind walking you through whatever we need to, but it's also kind of boring, I'm sure, just to listen to me drone on all night.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
In the group project tools folder, am I clear to understand that 6B and 7B are done together? I see it in twice. One's labeled 2 tool and one's without the 2 tool. So.
Yeah, they're actually the same tool. You use one of them as sort of the pre-planning piece, and then the other is the post. So it's like after we've done these certain things, the second one is what you would do to evaluate your success.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, some of you guys had some really awesome ideas and statements and stuff in your essays, and so I just want to hear from you guys. How is data being used in your school? Where is it working? What are some of the challenges? Let's hear from y'all for a bit before we close it out tonight.
I'll talk.
Okay, thanks, Camille.
So something that we do interim and focus quizzes throughout the year. And our third graders in math, I don't know, I'll just be honest, they were bombing it.
I've been there.
Yeah, we took a look at the exams the other day as our leadership team first, because we're actually a TAP school. So we plan first and then share out. But ultimately what we did was we looked at those standards and looked at the companion document to determine what standards were taught prior, because that's what they do, standards to scaffold. And of course, one thing we first noticed was, okay, they don't know this standard in second grade, so how are they going to do the third grade standard? The next thing we looked at was strategies. Some had strategies, some weren't. So then we had to take a look at the teacher, and we had a really great dialogue with her about instruction and what tools was she giving them to be successful, because that's what she needed to require them to do if she was giving them something, and if she wasn't, then we needed to test that out too. So we are in the we're in the works of pulling those groups, those small groups, at the end of the day, 2 to 3, with our enrichment, because they have an extra hour because we're such a small school. And they're actually working with them on those skills using a strategy that we've tested and we're using. So right now it's UPS check. And we're going to do some weekly blitz quizzes kind of thing, but no pressure, to see if that standard that they're working with them every afternoon for a week, if they're able to master it come that Friday. And then we'll continue and we'll build on it. So that's how we're utilizing that, at least in that circumstance.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And in fact, you should have been in our Zoom meeting for EDL 700. We were just talking about Data is great and wonderful, but it's what we do with the data that really matters. And, too often we just spend our time in analysis and we don't ever plan effective instruction. And, it's a hard thing to sell, but you have to sometimes drill it down to the teacher. Because if you've got ineffective instruction in the classroom, we can look at data all day, but until you fix that problem, you're not going to move anything. So great example, Camille. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Challenges, questions? You just need the thinking of the group?
I'll share.
Okay, thank you.
I'm also a TAP school, Camille. We're K through 5. We have 897 students.
Wow.
Here. So it seems like we talk about the D word all day, every day, and we don't know what to do with the D word at times. So, and I'll be honest with you, I have SPED PLCs weekly. And my last one, I said, I don't want anybody to mention the D word right now. I just want to know about the students. Let's speak about them rather than the testing data. But I do know it's important. It was very disheartening. Our last month, or about 3 weeks ago, we tested, and our first grade group, nobody moved in the band for reading, and we used VRA. And we have 7 first grade classes, and 4 out of 7 classes, it was very disheartening. So we had to stop and drop and figure out what we're doing wrong and reconvene. And for a TAP school, we used to have 90 minutes of planning every day. We had to revamp the schedule, so now we're down to 45 because teachers were saying they wanted more time in the classroom. But more time in the classroom does not necessarily mean that it's going to improve that score. So we're back to the drawing board as well, trying to figure out where our areas are and what we can do in order to fix those. We're trying.
Yeah, and I know it's disheartening and frustrating when those kind of things happen. My suggestion would be when you start first with your assessment and do a really good analysis on responses. So look not only at what the kids are getting correct, but what are they choosing as the wrong answers? And what is it in that answer that's tricking them up? And then I would tie those assessment questions back to the standards and really spend some time unpacking the standard. Because what you're going to find oftentimes is that we teach a standard at one level, then we turn around and test it at another. And then we're surprised when the kids don't get it. So, spend time thinking about, gosh, if the standard says classify, I would probably teach it at the analysis level. Always go 2 or 3 levels in Bloom's higher. And then once you figure out which standards are giving you grief and, if you're teaching them at the right level, then you've got to spend some intentional time creating excellent instruction. Instructional design is such a critical piece. And I know our course is technically on data, but whether you're talking qualitative or quantitative data, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's what you do with what you learn from the data that you apply in the classroom, and you make sure it's taught with fidelity and is also taught to the depth and complexity necessary. And kind of like Camille was talking about, another piece of this is I would do a vertical analysis on my standards, because if kids are missing foundational understanding and concepts in previous grade levels, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to be successful. And a lot of times, the more you drill down and break apart those assessment questions as well as that standard, you're going to find that there may be some foundational concepts that could be even 2 or 3 years, should have been learned 2 or 3 years previously that the students have missed out on. So you have to keep, it's that spiral of just getting deeper and deeper and deeper and looking at and diagnosing the problem. In fact, I've got a really cool, it's called a problem solving tool, so that you get to the root cause as opposed to all this periphery stuff that everybody wants to talk about. That is really helpful. So I'll get that and I'll post it for you guys if I can find it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Yes, we love your D word analysis. That was our analogy, excuse me. That was you put in the discussion forum. Thank you. Okay, anything else, guys?
I was at a advanced ed conference yesterday.
Yeah.
Accreditation, and they made an interesting point about it, about how students have been moved around, particularly in the state of Louisiana and Texas now with all the flooding and Katrina. I taught, during Katrina, and all of a sudden we had 25, 30 new kids show up. And I just watched that thing about the data dashboard, the TED Talk, and I'm like, how could that have helped all of us to have just gotten these students? I mean, there were no records with them. We had nothing. And, with the flooding and stuff, and I'm sure the data is, the technology is better now to keep up with all that stuff, but with all the displacements, with the floodings and all of that kind of stuff, the data dashboard makes a whole lot of sense.
Thanks, Stacy. That's a great point. And, like you, I was a high school principal during Katrina, and all of a sudden, literally overnight, we got 450 brand new students. It was a significant challenge for them and us. Thankfully, we all made it through, and I think we ended up getting them all graduated eventually. But, yeah, guys, we do have to think about it not only because of natural disasters, but also just pure mobility. I know that's something that a lot of people don't talk about that can be a really critical data point, especially when you look at it for individual students. I know I worked in a Texas school where it wasn't unusual for us to touch a student's records 10 times during the school year. And what I mean by that is we enrolled them and then we withdrew them. And then we enrolled them and then we withdrew them. And, in fact, in my big high school of almost 3,000 students, we had over 15,000 enrollments and withdrawals. And that was because we had an extremely mobile population. And unfortunately, kids would not only just, enroll and then turn around and withdraw, there'd be big gaps where they weren't in school at all. And so, you can do all kinds of instruction, but when kids are missing big chunks of learning time, it becomes a really significant barrier to their success. And like Stacy said, particularly in Texas and Louisiana, we had a whole bunch of kids displaced because of the hurricanes and the flooding and other natural disasters. While, Noelle didn't want to talk about the D word, and she just wants to talk about kids, you also, that is a data piece that forces you to talk about the kid and really look at what's going on in their particular life situation. Here in the Shreveport-Bossier area, with Barksdale being here, it's not unusual for our kids to come and go quite a bit because parents are transferred and deployments and all those kind of things. The data speaks to us, but you have to oftentimes look at those individual pieces for a particular child, and that will explain a lot. Billy wants to know about the TED Talk about the data dashboard. Stacy, do you know who the speaker was?
I can't. Edmondson, I think was the last name.
Oh, was it Ron Edmondson? Yeah, try it. Yeah, I know. I think I've seen the one you're referring to.
I thought you had it posted.
Oh, did I? Well, then I have definitely seen it. Sorry. We have our big counseling department accreditation visit. There's coming in on Sunday, and so all I did today was move tables from the third floor to the first floor, and chairs from the third floor to the first floor. So I am physically exhausted. So I'm probably making 0 cents tonight anyway. Oh, thanks. Somebody posted Jeff Edmondson. Thank you, and it's on Moodle. See, I've had a really long day, so just bear with me. Okay. All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns before we close it out tonight? Yeah, and I just want to commend you guys on your discussion forum posts and your essays. I think I'm somewhat caught up with everybody's grading, and you guys are doing a great job. You are so insightful. You've had some really great things to say. So, please take time to read each other's posts because there's some really good things going on. You've got some great resources amongst your classmates. Okay?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I know we talked about the groups, and I think I'm in group B, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there's 2 that are possibly opting out of that group. So please don't forget the rest of us that may still be in there, so we can let us know who we will be with, pretty please.
Yeah, I'm going to repost the groups, and I'll take out the people who, are wanting to do this individually. And then if you've got a really small group of like 3, I'll probably combine a couple more. So, and if you need an extra week or so to complete the group project because of that, that's fine. Just let me know. It's not a big deal. I just don't want you to get too far behind because it really starts to snowball, towards the end.
Ty, I just wanted Ty to know that we can pull him through.
Okay, good to know. Oh, and thank you. That's a reminder for me. If you are having difficulty figuring out how to contact or get in touch with your group members, just shoot me an email and I'll send you their email addresses, and then I include them on the response so that way you guys have the start of that communication.
When will you do the final group, so that way I don't kind of reach out to the 3 that I have and then they're like, oh no, we're all on our own.
Oh, well, I don't have that many, so they need to make sure they've contacted me. Let me know that.
They haven't said that. I didn't know if we could just send it out now, or should we wait until we get the final list,
I would go ahead and contact them anyway, and then if they are opting out, they can go ahead and tell you. But like I said, I've only had a few that have opted out in this class of the project, but I'm hoping, like I said, just bear with me, guys, because I'm somehow the logistics person for this big accreditation visit. So tomorrow I am, I'll be at Sam's and the dollar store and Office Depot and all that. So I'm hoping I can post it by Saturday for you guys. Okay. All righty. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Just hang in there, guys. It's almost the weekend. Y'all have a great night, and thank you. We will see you soon.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye.